You too. Like, comment, subscribe. Your boy is back, man. I should have did
Back.
something bigger, man. I'm back with Walt, man. Walter Stringer of Lyons Avenue. This dude is by far one of the best prospect analysis individuals in the tri-state area. By
Ooh,
far one of the best. I'm gonna give it to him. We're gonna talk. We're gonna talk prospects. I know y'all
ooh.
been waiting for this video a long time. This is a pre-recorded video, so if you have comments and everything, I'm not gonna see them, okay? Because we got business to take care of. Walt, anything you want to say? Shout out to Ashanti, your partner, your
For sure.
dude on the front lines. Y'all been bringing prospects this whole draft, and then y'all can educate me more likely on prospects and the film analysis and everything we're gonna get into, man, because this is really gonna be great. We got Jared Verse, we got film study galore,
Yeah.
and we're not gonna just look at the highlights of the stuff that y'all look at. We're gonna show you real content, and I'm very
Yeah.
excited for this because this is what we do this for. This is why we try to get clarity in the game. I know y'all miss me in the game, and I know y'all need a guy like him. See, there we go. We need a guy like him, and you need people that's gonna at least challenge what you believe in. Y'all believe that Cooper DeJean is the best. We're gonna see if that's true. We're gonna try to cover 200 prospects, 300 prospects in 30 days.
Well,
So this is going to be brilliant. I'm gonna put out a video every day, whether if it's with Walt or whether it's Ashanti or my boy Bill Carroll, who was the scout for the Indianapolis Colts and resigned, and now he is on the network for CBS. So whoever I'm with doing this, even if it's my brother Brandon, even if it's my only kin, we're gonna put it out and we're gonna do it. Anything you want to say, Walt?
no, no, not too much. I'm happy to be here, man. It's been a long time coming. As you mentioned, I think people need more of these types of shows. They need to see more of us too. Also, I think there's a lot of us in our culture, in our group, in our community, who aren't just football players. They're not just jocks. They're not just coaches. They're also very skilled talent evaluators. And I think it's very important for our youth coming up to see more of themselves out here doing this thing right here. That we're
Mm-hmm.
capable of it. Like I said, we're
Mm-hmm.
not just the players. We can also get behind the X's and O's, give you the what's what and the whys and everything. Also, you brought up Cooper DeJean, man. I find it interesting because I think he and one of the guys we gonna be discussing in this video, Braden Fisk, I think both of those guys are kind of like battling against stigmas. I think
Mm-hmm.
Braden Fisk has the stigma of, yeah, he's a big athletic defensive tackle, but he's a white guy. And
Yeah,
it just dawned on me early. I just felt
yeah,
like he would have a lot more hype if he was a black defensive tackle. I
yeah,
just feel that way.
yeah,
Testing athletically the way he did. And then Cooper DeJean is the white defensive back who no one wants to believe it. We've seen the last starting white corner in the league was Jason Sehorn, I believe.
yeah. There's a Seahorn,
Yeah,
and it's supposed to be Riley Cooper, but I guess
Riley Cooper.
yeah, I guess he
Yeah,
got hurt. It is what it is. They need a hope over there. I guess I don't know. I don't care. I care about the talent level, what they're gonna do for our Detroit Lions,
yeah.
and what they're gonna bring to the table when they get here. I don't want to draft no turds, just like Dan Campbell said. And at the same token, I want to draft players that are going to be here for a long time, cornerstone players. Before we get into prospect breakdown, I do want to pick your brain about the GJ Readers, the Amik Robertsons. We've seen Dan Campbell utilize free agency in a very brilliant way. I think it's kind of brilliant after, because if I made an initial reaction, it wouldn't be good. Tell us more about what you take away from his free agency process, where he went and got he helped every level of the defense with the exception of linebacker, and
Hmm.
he kind of utilized the role players, like he brought in role players and guys who started, and just tell us more about that.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think when it very first happened that day, I was kind of taken back. The first couple of days, I expected a little bit more. But the more I looked at the fact that, okay, The run game, the run stopping game was a strength of last year, a top five strength, considering where it was the prior year, where it was what bottom quarter in the league. So you want to make sure you keep that run defense elite.
Mhm,
That's what
mhm.
I believe is a staple of any quality football team. Being able to run the football up front on offense, and also being able to stop the opposing team from running the football. It's a man on man thing. It's a pride thing. If you want to stop the run as a man, 4 on 5, you'll be able to do it. On
Yeah,
offense, if you want to be able to run the football, if you poll most offensive linemen, they're going to actually they would rather run block. It's
yeah.
man on man. It's physical. It's wrestling. It is what it is. It doesn't tire you out as much if you think about it as being having to consistently drop back and pass. Yeah, and pass block.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Man,
but
you
yeah,
know,
listen, DJ Reader was. Oh no, just to kind of finish
oh yeah, go
breaking
ahead,
it
go
down
ahead.
real quick. I think Reader's a complete upgrade from the two dudes we had a year ago, who a lot of fans around here. No, no, but no, we can both agree he's clearly a better player than Benito Jones and Isaiah Bowles.
Oh yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
think the only question most fans have when it comes to being skeptical of all this is the injury.
Mhm,
Same thing. Carlton Davis has some issues for that matter. Not so Meek Robinson, but I think this is a team that did get better. They did
mhm,
get better.
mhm,
They got some upgrades. Now, is it a finished product? No. And sometimes I believe as creators, we follow these teams as hard as we do. We try to kind of keep a gauge on the fan base, keep their happiness a little controlled, don't get out of control with it, and stay a little realistic. But we got an entire draft coming up in less than a month, everybody. We got that. We got
yeah, yeah,
OTAs. We got
yeah.
training camp. We got
Draft in
cuts coming
Detroit.
up.
In
Yeah, you know
Detroit.
what I'm saying? So,
In the
just don't
back.
listen. I've always been a guy that been terrified of a team that just spent too much damn money in football because it doesn't seem to ever work out. Whenever these GMs go out there and just spend too much damn money and just
Mhm.
start bringing names in,
Well,
and
yeah, and, when they do spend money, they trade the guy the next season. We've seen that with
yeah,
Tariq Hill. We've seen that with not David Carr, whatever
Derek.
Carr, Derek Carr. We see these guys get their allotment, their payment, and then they, for whatever reason, shit the bed and get traded the next year. And we're seeing a revolt of if you will, in free agency. A couple years ago, I made a video that free agency was dead, and that was a video pertaining to Christian Kirk getting paid 20 million a year and resetting the market for wide receivers. I think when Christian Kirk got paid, then Tariq Hill wanted to get paid, and he had already just did a deal to reset the market, and then he got traded the next year, and the team went to the Super Bowl the next year. So we're seeing like a small revolution, if you will, where guys are approaching that time, and the draft analysis is getting better, or
Mm-hmm.
the pockets are shrinking because you have a $50 million quarterback and everybody wants to hold on to that. And then you have everybody wanting their money at the same time or in the year's time, and then they have to go. I like what Brad Holmes did with the Reader. I think Reader elevated my thought process of what he was doing, because the Meek Robertson guys that are 5'8" are not going to give me anything on the outside. I'm sure he's a hustler. I'm sure has tenacity and all this other stuff, but I'm just not satisfied with what I've seen from him. Carlton Davis, another one that's a B prospect to me. But again, these guys are better than what we've had. You can't bring Vildor to the Super Bowl. When you're 30 minutes away from the Super Bowl, you need a guy like Carlton Davis. You need a guy like DJ Reader, kind of like, because they have that expertise, they have that knowledge in that arena in the big games and big moments. Even when we played Tampa twice, and we had very good success against Tampa, but he didn't make it easy. I mean, we won handedly, but you can't bring guys like Bill Dorr and Gilmore and all these guys like that never been nowhere. And respect to Gilmore, because I think he's a valued talent, but still, I really value your point. The only thing I really wish is that we would, sew up this golf deal. The only thing I wish we would sew up, that left guard position. To me, it was right there. I know that our guy had the worst statistical season of his career here in Detroit, and he signed with the Rams for 17 million. But however, to that effect, he was a two-time Pro Bowler. Like I think a lot of
Yeah,
Lions fans forgot that, and they
yeah.
kind of forget this stuff. And a part of it is they think the 17 million is theirs. The only reason why this team want to be good is because we're gonna have to pay for the stadium in a little bit. So we ain't gonna pay for no losers. The only reason this team want to be good is because they got Dan Campbell and Sheila Ford Hamp is fed up. That's the only reason they want to be good.
Well, you know what? I think also as fans we have to take a step back and outside of our own lenses because we see these players. We feel like since we see them every Sunday, we follow them all week long, that we know exactly what all of them are. And I think if Jonah sucked as much as a lot of Lions fans tried to say he sucked over the past 2 years,
Hmm.
why would Sean McVay be willing to give him that type of money? And why would they be willing to bring him in and give him that type of money?
Hmm. Hmm.
Why would
And
Seattle be willing to give Evan Brown the money they gave Evan Brown? It's like as long as they can keep you, they love you. The
hmm.
moment they find out you want to be paid, oh, all right,
Hmm.
well, forget him. He sucks anyway. He stinks. Look at
That
Brock Wright. Look how quick they turned on Brock Wright, and they wanted
Brock
Brock
Wright
Wright
was
back.
serviceable. I look,
Yeah.
look. I'm telling you right now. Before we get in prospects, Brock Wright for 12 million for 3 years or 4 years or whatever it was. I don't think Brock Wright is worth 12 million with 12 million in his pocket. I don't think. I'm one of them fans that turns up.
I honestly think some of these teams still do this old. We lost to y'all or we beat y'all, so we gotta take we gotta take two of y'all players just
Yeah.
because or something. This
Okay.
just to be spiteful. Come on over
Exactly.
here, Bright. Tell us all about them. Then cut
Exactly. Tell
Bright.
us all
Then
about it. We
cut
got
them
to
right
break
before the
this down.
season starts. Cause that's
Yeah.
usually what they do.
Yeah. Could tell us all about Detroit because they had our number. Not Kansas City. Not nobody that's
Hey,
valuable to you.
but speaking of Kansas City, man, they got a pretty elite defensive tackle by the name of Chris Jones, who
Hmm.
got paid. I felt for the last few years that Chris Jones, despite what Aaron Donald does as a pass rusher, I felt
Hmm.
Chris Jones the best defensive tackle in football overall the past 3 years, 3 4 years. He's got his
Hmm.
rings, he got his money.
Hmm. Yeah. Well,
Do you see anybody in this upcoming class? Not necessarily being him because he's a dancing bear. Like he's a generational type defensive tackle. You don't find dudes 6'6", 310, 312 that can take on double teams, that can
Mhm,
destroy any one on ones, that can line up at 0, 1, 2, 3 tech, can play in the 3-4 end, can play in the 4-3 nose, can do whatever you need him to do and still put up monster numbers. Now, we
mhm,
may not, I don't think there's really a Chris Jones type,
mhm.
body type wise, and that type of guy in this
Yeah.
class. But I do think that there's a handful of guys who they bring their own set of skills to the table. And that's what's great about the defensive tackle position. You got guys like John Randall,
And
Aaron Donald,
mhm.
Chris Jones,
Newton
Warren
coming out.
Sapp,
Yeah.
Vince Wilfork, Richard Seymour. Like you have so many different body types, so
Mhm.
many different frames, so many different skill sets, all Hall of Famers,
Sean
all
Rogers.
drafted. Yeah, well, them too. All drafted at different spots. Hey man, listen. Sean gave us a lot of flashes of what could have been. Sean
Yeah.
was talented as hell, bro.
Yeah.
He was talented, but the heart
And
between the heart issue and the diet. Nick Fairley had his moments. When Fairley was on, Fairley looked dominant as hell.
yeah, it's Sue and there's some guys I think that can grow into those players, but I
Yeah.
feel like we have to hit on a defensive tackle that could create separation and that can actually punch and disengage. And I think that uh Anzarike did that in the first game and then he disappeared. And then we have to get someone to free up Ali McNeil and Aiden Hutchinson. And I think that is a perfect segue for the best defensive tackle. that we're going to be highlighting here in a second. I think that this individual is by far one of the best defensive tackles that I've seen in the last 2 years come out. And everybody knows here, especially, I was one of the people that wanted Jordan Davis. Not at two, not
Mm-hmm.
at two. I wanted to trade up to 18 or 12 to get him, and we seen he was drafted at 12, I believe, to the Eagles. And Jordan Davis was one of those people that was, it was a philosophical difference. It was, hey, this guy only plays 40% of the snaps and all this nonsense. And he's a good player when he's on. And we have a player like that with Broderick Martin who can't get on the field. So
Nope.
we need to reevaluate the defensive tackle position for depth because Reader's not going to be here forever, and he who knows if his production falls off a cliff. Time is ticking. You've been to the Super Bowl. You had your time with the Cincinnati Bengals. You had your time with two teams,
Houston
I believe,
Texans.
Houston
Yeah.
Texans. It's time to facilitate some winning philosophy. What do you see in a guy? I'm gonna play the clip, and we could just go over it because I'll put it on replay. What do you see in Fisk uh, ability moving forward? Like, what do you see here?
Leverage. That's the that's the first thing that stands
Yeah.
out about him with me. Dude's like 6'3", 6'2" and a half. Um, the leverage and the balance where you're not the tallest defensive tackle. You gotta
Mhm.
you gotta always stick to what they taught you in Pop Warner.
Yeah.
You got to play with leverage. Low man wins. He doesn't have the longest arms, although I think his arms are long enough. But the explosiveness on the layup, on the previous play that you had showed, well, if you want to go
Mhm.
back to that previous play, they're going to line him up out here at three tech, which is where they lined him up a lot. Seems to me, especially in this game and the Miami Hurricane game earlier in the season, those tend to be the two games that I saw where, okay, you know what? He's okay at two tech. I don't want him getting beat up that damn much. So two
Mhm.
eyes okay, two tech is okay, but he seems to be a bigger disruption, and they
Mhm.
maximized him more at three tech. Now, what he was able to do here, first of all, the get off,
Yeah.
the get
Yeah.
off. That guard had zero chance at all, zero chance at all, and the center had to chip over, and there you
Mhm.
go. Look at him running the hoop.
Yeah.
Look at him. He
Yeah.
ran the hoop and still. And I told you this before we even started the video.
Mhm.
He's always in plays.
Always in.
That's something I noticed with defensive tackles, and I pay a huge amount of attention to. How often are you on the ground? He's barely ever on the ground. He's double teamed on a lot of plays and still not on the
Yeah.
ground. They end up on the
Yeah.
ground.
What I
And
what I do like from him is he disengages. Like
yes,
he will punch and then go in. He will get
he doesn't
skinny
give
somehow.
up.
Yeah, he not that's
I'm
a
double
Brad
teamed.
Holmes
Ain't
pick.
nothing I can do.
That's a
Yeah,
Brad
he's
Holmes
not one of
pick.
those.
Yeah, exactly. He's not gonna just you talked about it earlier where he's not gonna be a stalemate. It's not gonna be, hey, you tired, I'm tired, stalemate.
Yeah, and that's what you
Oh,
see from a lot of defensive tackles. Hey, coach, I'm double. What y'all want me to do? No,
mm-hmm,
there's his film is a teaching tape for a lot of these defensive tackles out here. There's no excuses. If a
mm-hmm.
dude can consistently take on
Disengage.
double teams, and he don't even have to disengage. There's been times the second play of this game, the very second play of this game, he was able from the 20-yard line to take on the double team, work the double team down the line of scrimmage, close the gap to the C gap, and he made the tackle. You don't see that too often when a defensive tackle takes on the double team, doesn't disengage, he works both men down the line of scrimmage
Yeah.
and makes the tackle.
Watching his
It's
film,
different.
watching his film, I can see that he likes to he likes to really disengage. Like he likes to get to the ball. He likes to clean up the trash. And I think that with every play, you're going to get caught up in this mesh. You're going to get caught up in this
Yes.
trash. I don't think every defensive tackle in the world is going to be able to attack the quarterback or attack the running back, ball carrier every play because we have our three-step drops from the quarterback. We have our quick hitches outside. We have screen passes. We have all this stuff. But when you see him here and he's in this trash, and this looks like a run play, and it's a design quarterback run. He's gonna
Mm-hmm.
disengage from this trash, and he I mean, he's gonna get in the mix. And I like that. He
Poor
gonna get in the
Jaden.
mix. Poor Jaden. Jaden gonna flip up. See, Jaden gonna be wearing that Raiders jersey next year. He gonna be flipping up when he play us. He gonna be flipping up and everything. And that's what I
And
really like
that's
about
him
him.
at one tech. And that's him at one.
Exactly. So I see a different thing from him than I seen from a Breeze Week or unusable. How about unusable? So
Levi
what
unusable.
Levi unusable. So when unusable, he get in a stalemate and he want to fight you and overman you, and he's not thinking about the penetration, and he's not thinking about disengaging with that blocker to get the ball. He's just minding his gap, and that's a big
Yeah.
problem I find when his college tape when he was in the 4-3 and he was in that situation where he had to get the double team, but he wants to strong arm you. And it's probably a coaching mechanism because some people want you to be in gap control. And we use a lot of gap control here. But at the same time, we got to get to the actual A and B gap where the ball is going. And that's how you
Right.
get paid. See, my problem with Azarike is the injuries, but my problem is disengage. Like, I think that I'm gonna play another game for you. I'm a I'm a
I think some
present.
of it comes down to the awareness. Cause we can get
Okay.
back into it, like I said, even with this too, but
Mm-hmm.
a lot of
No, you
defensive
you had a
tackles just
point.
lack the awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And as you made a very valid point, a lot of defensive tackles get caught up in the fight. They're not thinking
Mm-hmm.
about where the ball carrier is at. They're not thinking about what the quarterback is doing. They just get caught up in fighting with guards and
Yeah.
fighting with tackles. And that's not how you make the money. You make the money making plays. Run stoppers don't get paid.
You make the
Let's
money
be
making
honest.
plays.
Run
Yeah.
stoppers don't get paid. Like if
Yeah.
Chris Jones was just elite against the run, we wouldn't consider Chris Jones. We consider Chris Jones because he's damn near the LeBron James or the Scottie Pippen of defensive tackles. Like he does a little bit of everything. He impacts the game in multiple ways. That's how you get paid. The Quentin Williams of the world, the Jeffrey Simmons. Like these are guys that can play in multiple fronts. They can play multiple techniques. They can push the pocket. They're elite against the run. And that's the type of guy you want, especially playing next to Aiden Hutchinson. That's if you really want to maximize how good he can really be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Can you see my screen?
Yep. It's got
Okay.
Leonard Taylor
Okay.
on there, Leonard Taylor the third.
Uh, do I have Leonard Taylor?
Yeah, he's right down there at the bottom, towards the
Oh, okay.
bottom.
Okay.
Number 19, matter of fact.
This is what I really like. And I know this is a garbage play, but look, I'm trying to get off you. I know he's not. He's probably just doing a stunt, doing something. He's fighting. He's getting his. He's trying to get his hands. Like, he's not trying to get nobody on him. He is trying to get disengaged, being free and clear, and it's consistent all the time. It and they do a lot of stunts, and I'm sure that releases him from a lot of problems, and it pushes his into a lot of problems. But is there a timestamp on this Clemson game that you recommend that we see that we can see the athleticism and we can see the is there a game in particular we can look at and say, I can chop this up later and we can say, hey, look, this is what Fisk is all about. Is there a game or a play that you want to see that says this is what he brings to Detroit?
From those two games, no, because I think, especially like in the Clemson game, and I felt the Miami game, both teams they had the same plan that LSU
Mm-hmm.
had. I think he just came out against LSU. It was the first game of the season. It was a night game. You're gonna be super hyped, amped up. Those other two games, he was a little bit more quiet. But I do believe in this game right here against LSU. When I told you it was the second game, not second game, but the second snap of the game, he took on a
Mm-hmm.
double team. Took on the double team. He was able to work the double team down the line of scrimmage, maintain his leverage, and get in there and to make the tackle. I think that's what you're gonna see a lot of more from him in the NFL, whether it's in a Lion uniform or it's with anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if he's surrounded by talent, because right now I think at Florida State is him. Well, it was him. It was Jared Verse. It was
Ran
the
down
other
on field.
defense the other
Go ahead.
defensive tackle that plays next to him, who's also in this draft, whose name slips my mind right now, but he wasn't loaded with first round talent on that defensive line, on that front seven at Florida State. If you put him on a defensive line where there's other dogs out there to eat, and
Yeah,
he can't just be double
Aiden
teamed all the
Hutchinson.
time, yeah, you can't.
Mm-hmm.
This is a dude who you can't give a bunch of single coverage to. You can't.
Yeah,
He's too big. He's too stout. He's too powerful. He's technically sound. He's powerful with his hands. He doesn't have a lot of pass rush moves, and most defensive tackles don't. But I
okay,
just think that if you take somebody as physically gifted as him, who you can tell he's used to just going out there and kicking ass. That's what he's used to doing. But if you can get him in a situation where he's with a solid coach, solid locker room, he's got somebody that can teach him how to use his hands better,
yeah.
how to use his power better, teach him how to, transfer
A
speed to
DJ
power
Reader,
better.
a
Yeah.
DJ Reader. Huh?
Yeah, I think he can be tremendous, bro. I think he can be a 9, 10 sack defensive tackle.
I think
Which
so too. I think
in
so.
this day and age, they look at, oh, that's underachievement. That's because people got spoiled by Aaron Donald.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a defensive tackle's responsibility to get 17 sacks. It's,
Yeah.
it's not. It's not. But look at Sue. Sue averaged what, 8.5 to 10 sacks when a
When I
season when
seen
he
his
was here.
tape, yeah, when I seen his tape, he reminded me of Kobe Turner, who I was really high on.
Mm-hmm.
He reminded me of Kobe Turner. I really liked that Turner understood what he was doing, why he was doing it. I really liked that Kobe Turner knew how to disengage, and that was his main focus, was to get to that ball. And I think that to get to the ball carrier, I think that that's the value that a lot of players lack sometimes. And when their players do care about the ball, they're usually cornerbacks or safeties. And when
Awareness.
they care about, then yeah, they have the awareness to get paid too. Xavier Howard
Exactly.
had the awareness to get paid. Like, Deion Sanders had the awareness to get paid. It wasn't
Yeah.
the past breakups. It was more of it was, look, if I get that ball, you know what I'm saying? And I see that from Kirby Joseph. He care about that ball. He don't care about that knock it down and I saved the day, y'all, and we can play the next down. No, I took it away. I took a man's soul, and that's what he did in Aaron Rodgers land. So
Do you think
that's what
is
it did.
is is it something natural, or or instincts is can instincts be learned, especially at the safety position? Because let's
Mhm,
take two different dudes, completely
mhm,
polarizing, even though this has nothing to do with the video, but
mhm,
Jamal Adams and Ed Reed. Like if you take
mhm.
those two type of safeties, two completely different type of safeties,
Yeah.
Ed Reed could do everything Jamal Adams could do,
Mhm,
but Ed Reed did the most important stuff, the stuff that gave Peyton Manning issues, gave
yeah.
Tom Brady issues. So it's the
Mhm,
instincts, and I think outside of naturally being a solid, smart football player, guys like Ed Reed, um, Justin Simmons, um, Jesse Bates, is also, as you mentioned, knowing what's coming. You can't play smart as a safety unless you know your keys. You know exactly what's coming. So why do you think is it that some dudes? Because personally, I think some dudes are just one type of football player.
mhm.
Some dudes aren't really smart football players. They're not really intelligent football players. They're just football players. Give me
Yeah.
an assignment. Okay, go in that box. Watch this running back. Watch this fullback. Watch this tight
Mhm,
end. Chip this tight end. See ball. Hit somebody. Like that's the
mhm,
type of football players some safeties are, and you got other safeties, the money makers, who know, okay, if I want to get paid, I got to affect the game in the passing game. So
mhm.
why do you think it is some of these dudes really struggle at it?
I think a lot of dudes are really coachable, and they want to clear their gap. They want to get to their gap, and they want to penetrate, and they want to just do the job of the defense, and they know their job is an ugly job. And there's another a group of guys that are okay with learning everything and having their keys, and then they put a little sauce on it. I think that those instincts for the ball are going to come naturally, but I think some of it has to be learned. And I think when guys start seeing guys get paid with 5 sacks, like Aleem McNeil is surely going to get paid. He had 5 sacks, 3 sacks in one game against a very bad team. But I think some guys are going to start looking like, hold on, if I'm a defensive tackle and I have these God given traits, I want to get paid too. And I think that the Lions are going to have a conundrum a couple years where you got a lot of guys with instincts on the field and they want to get paid. And I think that the defensive tackle position is going to be like that, and the defensive end position is going to be like that. There was a key issue against Seattle and a key issue against San Fran where we didn't get that pass rush in needed situations. So guys are gonna be like, damn, if I stop that situation, I'm gonna be a hero. Like Aiden Hutchinson has that knack. Like when he got that ball at the end of the game and changed the game, I believe that was against Atlanta. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But he
Yeah.
he he got that ball at the end of the game, and he carried that fumble, and we got the W because of Aiden Hutchinson. So I think it's learned, but I think it's also natural too. And I think that, with our breakdown of this prospect, probably a poor breakdown on my part because I didn't have all the film and all the assets I wanted to line up for you. I think that this guy's gonna be just okay. He's gonna be all right. He's not gonna be a guy that falls out of the fold, if you know what I mean. He's gonna
No,
have more than 4 years. He's gonna
no,
have more
he's
than one
he's a
contract.
pro. He's a pro.
Mhm,
That's the first thing that jumped out to me is that he looks like a dude, solid health, solid bill of health in college.
mhm,
Senior, of course, being a senior is putting that scarlet S all on your forehead or whatever. But
mhm.
um, he doesn't strike me as a dude who's gonna break down. He's just got one of those type of bodies, and I think his ceiling is based upon what you surround him with. Now you look at us here in Detroit. You spent the number 2 overall pick a couple years ago on Aiden Hutchinson. Aiden's trending up. Hopefully, this season coming up, we can get a nice 14, 15 sack season out of Aiden. A little bit more consistency when it comes to him rushing the passer. Enough of the, and I think this is what really separates the elite edge rushers, pass rushers in the
Mhm,
league from the guys who are like in a tier below them. You got guys like Miles Garrett, TJ Watt, Nick Bosa, the guys who go in a 5 game span, let's say a 7 game span, these guys may go 2 sacks this game, 0 sacks this game, 3 sacks that game, 2 sacks this game, 1 sack this game, 1 sack this game. The
mhm.
elite guys, they may get shut out in 1 game, 2 games of the season. Outside of that, they unstoppable. There's no
Mhm.
stopping Miles Garrett. That's why when Lions fans constantly brought up throughout the season and the last couple seasons how much Aiden Hutchinson gets double teamed, what the hell you think Crosby experiences? Who else is on that defensive line for the Raiders that they can actually take attention away from him? He gets it. Miles Garrett's a monster. He gets it. Nick Bosa, even though Nick Bosa's been a beneficiary of having a lot of talent on that front seven along with him, but he gets it. The elite guys are going to get it. You don't complain about it. The elite guys make plays in spite of it. That's what I think
Yeah,
is elite about Braden Fisk at the defensive tackle position in in this draft class, because he doesn't get double teamed and just give up. And as we
yeah,
discussed in the pre-show before this video, you see when you go through so many sets of defensive tackle films, you get bored with it because you see
mhm,
a lot of the same shit.
yeah.
Oh, just big dude,
It's
semi
boring.
athletic, doesn't
It's not
have
fun.
any stamina, may give you one decent play every 9 plays, takes plays off, has the ability within a 5 yard distance to get in there and make a play on the ball carry, but chooses to trot over there. Like you see so much of this
Yeah,
that when you see a defensive tackle who, damn, it's early fourth quarter and this dude's still out here giving effort. Like
Yeah,
he's not falling off. He's still out there, you know what I'm saying, whooping ass. So I think you put a guy like him on this defensive line next to Aleem McNeil in a rotation with
Satan.
DJ
Yeah,
Reader.
it's
Yeah,
gonna be
now you got
relentless.
something.
It's
Yeah,
gonna be relentless, and
now
I
you
think
got
that
something. It only makes sense too. Even if you don't want this defensive tackle we talking about tonight, you need somebody
right.
because you may not want to pay Aleem McNeil. You may not
Mhm.
want to overpay Aleem McNeil. DJ Reader's getting up in age. He's got his injury situation. You got the Kaminsky's of the world still hanging around. You got the
Hanging
Broderick
around.
Martins. You don't know. There's a big question mark on Broderick Martin's head. So it would be
Yeah,
foolish to not,
right.
you know what I'm
And
saying, draft the defensive tackle.
my goal is to have Kaminsky on the practice squad.
Yeah.
Kaminsky is not a starter on any regular team. Like Kaminsky is not a starter. Kaminsky is not even
Not a
dressing for
championship caliber team, though.
no, not a championship caliber team. I think Brad Holmes this season or this off season rather, he said he had one of the best off seasons, and I have to concur because you didn't bring in the bums and then give us 1 year deals. You gave us guys that have experience, have playoff experience, and they can teach the younger guys coming in. And then you didn't tie yourself into a need based position. You know what you needed. You needed a cornerback. Why? Because you sucked at cornerback. You need another cornerback because you got one on the run. You need another cornerback because you need it because you got Stephen Gilmore and Bill Dorr out there. And Bill Dorr is a free agent. And so you didn't think too wisely of him. So, and you got Khalil Dorsey, who is valuable on special teams.
So is
Those guys,
Melifonwu officially a safety? Do you
I
think they
think
move him back?
I, I I think he's a safety, but I also think safety is going to be something they look at in this draft in the early 3 rounds. I think they're going to get the safety of their dreams, and they're going to get more of a field general or a physical safety. It's been noted that they wanted Witherspoon, and if Witherspoon was there at 6, they would have took him. And
Hmm.
I think they lack in that secondary that physicality, and that's why we brought in C.J. Gardner Johnson. But we just got a talker when it came to C.J. Gardner Johnson, and he was out for the season. You got Brian Branch as a backup and who elevated himself in the nickel position and became a starter. He might try at that back end safety, but I feel like he's a very good spot safety where he's at. He's good in that joker position, and I like him in the dime, and I like him in the dollar position. I like him as that nickel that is right there that you don't know if he's blitzing, you don't know what he's doing, and I like him on the outside, and I like him in the deep third. But whoever you bring in is going to take a tutelage position from all the guys you've acquired. Like you don't have to bring in Quinyon Mitchell and make him your go-to guy because you have Carlton Davis, and he's going to bring Carlton Davis
Man, he
along.
better be starting.
And, and
Quinyon better be starting. I listen. I don't want listen. I don't want to hear this. I don't want to hear all of this. Not from you, but I don't want to hear all this Joe Dumars philosophy
Joe
on
Doug,
building a football team where we gonna
Joe
no.
Dig.
There's no. I don't want to see you trade up all the way into the top 10 to draft Quinyon Mitchell and then don't play him. Like
That's a Brad Holmes
screw
MO.
all this. You gotta earn your stripes. Screw all that. We not no no. We're
Matter
not
of
doing
fact,
this.
what's that? Broderick Martin still earning his stripes, baby. He's still earning. He's still out there earning. Right now, he lifting bottles of water and shit. He's still earning his stripes.
Well,
You
listen, as we
know.
discussed, listen, whether it's Braden Fisk or it's Jerzon Newton, another guy, we're gonna get into some video of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
In another video, you got Byron Murphy of Texas.
Hmm.
Whoever your flavor is,
Yeah,
this team still needs one. But as you mentioned, I think they're in a very interesting situation because they don't have to reach. You can't
yeah.
get a gauge if you're one of the other 31 teams in football right now. You can't get a gauge on Detroit because yeah, they signed two corners, but they could still use an elite one. Yeah, they
Yeah.
got good safety play the last season, but they could use another one. Yeah, they got Aiden Hutchinson and they got a good run defense, but they could need another one.
They really
Yeah, they
protected
got St.
themselves.
Brown. and Jameer Gibbs and Laporta, but they could still need a receiver.
I see Leggett on a lot of mock boards too. That's funny. I see Leggett in the second round at 61 on a lot of mock drafts.
That's
And
cool.
he to me,
Not at 29 though.
oh no, not at 29.
No.
God no. I think he is a model. He's a model X. He can grow into an X. I think he has the intangibles. I think he has the talent. He has the size. And I
He
think
looks
he's
like
gonna,
Andre Johnson.
yeah, yeah. I
Same
think that,
height, six. Well, we found out he wasn't really 6'4". Never
yeah,
trust college football. Never trust NCAA and their numbers. But I mean 6'1", 230. That's
yeah.
Andre Johnson. you know,
You
four
mentioned
three speed.
yeah. You mentioned the guy that I actually want to get into, Jerzon Newton.
Oh yeah,
Is there any game that you want to like highlight against? Um, I see the Penn State game here. We can knock out two birds with one stone because another thing is we got to talk about this Chop character that
who?
people have overrated. Is there any game here that you designate?
I was skating through some film um, of Jerzon Newton. No in particular game. I thought he was pretty effective against with it was I don't know if you got the Wisconsin game up there, but the Wisconsin game, he was decent against Michigan, our Wolverines. You can find some good Jerzon Newton film in pretty much any game up there that you decide to put
Oh,
on.
look at that! Oh, look at that! Did you see it?
No, what you got up there?
I'm sharing my screen. You can't see it.
Nope, just the database screen is still up.
Oh man. So I'm gonna share. I'm gonna share this, and I hope it shares the correct way. And if y'all can't see what I'm seeing, I do apologize. Um, share screen. The database screen is there. Jerzon. There we go. And so I like Jerzon in particular, and I like the boys from Texas. And I
Make the
think
screen
that we
bigger.
make the screen bigger.
Yeah, there we go.
Like if I'm not showing the correct game or correct anything, look at this.
Jesus, see, that's
That's
what
what
I'm
I'm
talking.
saying.
That's what
We
I'm talking about. Now, stop it, stop it. Where's Newton? Go back. What is he? Number
right
4.
here.
There you go.
Yeah, right here.
Okay. Now you see. Okay, he's this man is even, even with
Yeah,
he's even with this guard right here. Look at this
yes,
running
sir.
back behind him.
Yes, sir. Yes,
watch,
sir.
watch how he handles this guard and how
Okay.
quickly he gets into the backfield. Now this is elite. This is something we didn't see from Braden Fisk. Look at that.
Ah!
Stop it, please. I
Mhm.
ain't telling you to stop it. I'm telling Wisconsin to stop it.
Someone
This is
trying
a
to
man,
get
and
Eddie.
this is a dude who people feel like that was very John Randall like.
Yeah. Yes,
That was
sir.
very John Randall. Like you talking about a dude who's what 6'2", 300 even, short
Mhm.
arms. They don't like his hand size. They don't like his arm length. This
You
is a
know?
powerful dude who in the phone booth can do that to you.
And again, we talk about
That running back ain't really want that.
yeah, we talk about that stuff all the time. We talk about disengaging.
Short
Why
area
is
quickness.
disengaging so important? So we can get to the quarterback. So we can get to the distributor of the football. Okay? We got single high safety looks like. We got
Mm-hmm.
it looks like this dig is going to be here and we got to disrupt this. Of
Yeah.
course it didn't get disrupted, but still at the same token,
Three
you
tech.
got Aiden Hutchinson on this side, and you know Aiden Hutchinson's gonna get here. You're gonna knock this guy off his square, and that defensive tackle is gonna clean it up. This is how it works. I want to see a silver rush. I want to see our defensive line get a nickname because that they're that good. You understand what I'm saying? And great play by the receiver, first down, whatever you want to say. But we have to disengage, lose the trash, and keep running and keep keep
Look at this
going.
man. This is what I'm
We have
saying.
to we have to keep going.
Don't
Look,
go low. You go low, he go lower. Look at that leverage. No, motherfucker.
mhm,
Go on somewhere.
yeah,
I'm out
and
here. Come
we
here.
have to. This is a football game. This is what this is. This is
Look at
what
that.
we're doing. We're
I
playing
like the fact that he
football.
was able to keep him off of his feet like that, though.
Mm-hmm.
You go low, I go lower, I get there and still make the play. Defensive tackles that's not just caught jogging around because I'm
Hmm.
tired.
Yeah, I don't want to jog around because I'm tired. Now he's double teamed here, and what's
Where?
his reaction? Oh,
That was over there. It wasn't much he was
yeah.
gonna do there.
It looks like their entire game plan was not to go to the deep third. Their entire game plan was to stop and get these digs inside.
Yeah.
So that's a secondary issue. Their entire game plan was to eat up this secondary, get their guys out on single coverage, and then exploit the single coverage. It's not none of his fault these players are getting converted. He's
No,
trying
not at
every
all.
play.
He's
He's
doing his job. That's with him over there. What at three tech on the right side?
yeah. Now I need him to clean up this run play because I believe that was a tight end. No, that was a guard.
Okay. Man up.
Yeah.
Okay, he disengages.
Yeah.
He there. He's there.
Yeah. So I need players like Newton. I need players like Fisk. Imagine getting Newton and Fisk, and people are
So
asking
both look at that.
questions like,
Both of them.
"Yeah, exactly." Imagine getting players like that, and we have the
Going
GM
with
to
that
do it.
shoulder.
We have the
You gonna throw
GM
a
to do
shoulder
this.
in him?
Now, there's another guy that I really believe. I really. Oh, look at that. Oh, twist two. Okay, so he's got some moves. He has some leverage. I can see him at that three technique. Look at these. Okay, I'm nimble on my feet.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm
Awareness.
nimble on my feet and I'm gonna run to the out. Come on, man. This is easy. This is not a hard thing, man. This is the draft. You want to draft players. How many times Brad Holmes and Dan Campbell? We want try hard guys. That's try hard definition.
I
That's
want
the
elite talent.
definition.
I want elite talent with lunch pail character.
Exactly. And cheap.
That's what I want.
And I
And
want
cheap
them on a
labor.
I want a cheap labor. I
Don't,
want
I don't
little
want
to
to hear
no
nothing
pennies.
about that market value.
Right. I don't want to hear nothing. I want him to make $2.53. I want to be so over the
2.53 mil a year, huh?
I want to be under the cap so much that
Boy, oh
I
boy.
can't pay nobody.
Not even myself. Say, I don't even get a raise. But
This is
yeah, he's there. He's consistently there's no if you even outside of the Wisconsin film, and we can get into some more Jerzon Newton film. We got some other games too that we can do at what I'm saying, another video, or whatever. But
and I'll have timestamps better. I just had a
no, we good.
bad day.
We
I'll
good.
set up the pre-production better.
Trust me.
So
They appreciate it. They gonna
okay.
appreciate this. But
Okay.
it's the fact that you consistently, man, even for the people who don't have access to the highlights, I mean access to the actual film, and you shoot over to YouTube because I don't blame people as fans. If I wasn't into watching film, or what we're actually into,
Mhm.
content creating wise, I would shoot the YouTube and watch the highlights too.
Right. And the
His
highlights.
hands is
Mhm.
the hand quickness, the placement. You notice as a pass rusher, whether you play defensive tackle or edge, defensive end or whatever, the hands are key. You have to have some sort of elite traits. I think edge rusher, defensive tackle, and cornerback are three positions where those elite physical traits matter. Him, he ain't the biggest, he's not the shortest, he's not the heaviest, he's not the most powerful. But if you look at his short area quickness, his quickness in the phone booth, his hand quickness at that, both of those two things are elite. Every single snap that you just showed of him, dude was not on the ground, and he was always in the dust. The guard who he's matched up against is somewhere on the ground, 10 yards behind him, and he's chasing the play. So you always want to get somebody at the defensive tackle position, I feel. First key, you must be a disruption. I can give less than a damn about the sacks. Like I said, Aaron Donald, being a
Yeah.
16, 17, 20 sack guy from the defensive tackle position. Now, that's
Hmm.
not all just Aaron Donald's talent. Also believe that with the Rams, the whole time he was there, he had really good coaching on that defensive line, and they did a great job of moving Aaron around a lot more. But it's at the end of the day, you want someone who's going to be a disruption. Tonight, we saw two dudes on the interior of their defensive lines that are complete disruptions. Will
Hmm.
Braden Fisk be a 17 sack guy in the NFL? Probably not.
Oh, yeah.
But can he be a hell of a defensive tackle? Can he be considered a top 100 player? We get into that
Hmm.
top 100 list before the season starts every year.
Hmm.
Can he be one of the best defensive tackles in football overall? Yes. And if you surround him with talent, can he still be a 10 sack guy? Because at the end of the day, not too many of these defensive tackles are 10 plus sack guys constantly getting double teamed, especially if they play within a defensive scheme where they're asked, as you mentioned this before, there's a lot of defensive tackles that can do a lot more. They're just not asked to, and they're not allowed to. So
Yeah.
it's like taking Jalen Carter. We all know the type of talent Jalen Carter was coming out of Georgia. Are you gonna take him and make him a nose? You gonna make him a zero?
Am I?
Yeah, I mean, you're not gonna do that. You know
Yeah.
exactly what Jalen Carter's skill set is. You're not gonna
Yeah.
take Jalen Carter and tell him, okay, you know what, line up over the center and just eat these double teams all day. But coach, I have elite pass rush skills. Save that for someone who cares, hot shot.
Right. Or how
You
they
gonna
did.
be this.
That's exactly how they did Jerry or Jarrett when he got drafted to Atlanta, like some years
Grady
ago.
Jarrett. Yeah.
Grady Jarrett, and they asked him why wasn't he crashing down? Why wasn't he penetrating? Why wasn't he getting in the hole? Well, I was supposed to stay in my gap. That was the defense. The defense was I was supposed to stay in my gap and clog up the hole, and and I wasn't supposed to be a playmaker because that would set our defense. We were setting up our linebackers
Yeah.
for the tackles, and him getting asked about that in pre-draft analysis showed like your talent, your measurables, everything you're doing is good, and everything you're doing, you can get to the quarterback. Why didn't you? And a lot of these guys are told to sacrifice their individual stats and the individual
College.
ability to supplement the team. And, everybody loves that, from a Dan Campbell perspective. But for me, like, I want to see guys be, demonstrators and be destructive. I want guys to eat with their hands, especially at the defensive line position. I don't want Kaminsky's out there. I want, I
Keep
want,
man, don't keep giving me commit. Man, listen, I'm gonna say this. What you just said, I felt the same way about Jeffrey Simmons at Mississippi State. Like I couldn't see it. Like I went back, well, the year that Jeffrey Simmons came out and everybody, because he got hurt that year. And if he wouldn't have
Mhm.
gotten hurt at Mississippi State, he would have been a higher first round pick. But I went back and I watched the film. I'm like, okay, just hold hold the line of scrimmage, hold the line of scrimmage, peek, peek, let go. Hold the line of scrimmage, peek, peek. And I'm like, this is who y'all telling me? But then I had to go back and realize, okay, like they don't, you was a 5-star recruit coming out of high school and this is how the fuck they use you?
Mhm.
Just
Yeah.
just do
That's how it is.
this. Double
Maybe they want
team.
less NIL money. I don't know.
Don't let them put up too many stats. Yeah, but
We
it's
don't want to
crazy,
lose him. We
man.
don't want to lose him his junior year. We want him to come back for that mathematics degree.
But
We want him
he
to go
got to the league and he was allowed to do more, and we saw exactly what he was capable of. So yeah,
there.
there's
Mhm.
I don't know if you
Are-
can put a percentage on it who's more important to these players' careers, them or the coaches. But
mhm.
I just think that these coaches need to do a damn better job. There's
Is
coach
there
in
a
front of your
guy?
name for a reason.
Yeah, yeah.
like stop.
Coach
This ain't
Campbell. Yeah.
college. This ain't college
Coach
basketball where you
Campbell.
recruit players and then
Mhm.
force them into your system to play the way you want them to. Hey,
Right.
backdoor cuts, screens, Princeton. No. The really good coaches. That's what make Bill Belichick so great. Bill was great at seeing. You know what? They said you can't do X, Y, Z. Well, I say you can do A, B, and C, and I'm
Mhm.
gonna turn you into something really good. You may not be really good in nobody else's scheme, but the real coaches, the positional coaches, Offensive coordinators, defensive coordinators, they do a damn good job of figuring out. Okay, you know what? Same thing with prime example, Terrion Arnold, cornerback out of Alabama.
Yeah.
He got exposed a lot this season. Does that mean he's not a good corner? No, I just don't think he's a boundary corner. He's not athletic enough. And people constantly want to say, well, that doesn't matter because this guy wasn't, Rondé Barber wasn't super athletic and Ashanti Samuel wasn't. Those dudes also wasn't boundary corners. Take a look at these athletic freaks. There's going to, next year, I
Mhm.
bet you another 3 drafts, there's going to be about 5 DK Metcalfs in that draft. If
Mhm.
you honestly believe physical talent doesn't matter at the cornerback position, you fooling yourself. And if you think it doesn't matter, go back and watch that Alabama LSU game. Malik Neighbors and Brian Thomas tore Terrion Arnold a new asshole. Because he wasn't athletic. The athletic gap between him and those two wide receivers at LSU was huge.
Mhm.
That's when it first dawned on me, okay, you know what? Terrion Arnold might be a slot. Now, does that mean that, like I said, well, I don't want him on my team as a Lion? No. I think Terrion Arnold is a good, smart football player. He just has his physical limitations. But you can still find a spot for him. That was my whole
Mhm.
thing. And, you know, for us, Detroit, like I said, we got so many situations right now where could be corner, could be wide receiver, could be guard, could be tackle, offensive tackle, defensive tackle. But you and I both are in agreement that we went into last off season, cornerback was a need. We felt like they didn't solve a damn thing heading into the season. Defensive tackle, interior pass rush. We need to upgrade the talent there. As you mentioned, Levi hasn't been able to do a damn thing for us in 3 years. More than likely, he won't be on the team next year. Broderick Martin out of Western Kentucky gave us nothing his rookie year. We expect him to make a huge jump. Um, Kaminsky, as you mentioned, Bugs is gone. Benito's gone. You bring in an older DJ Reader. They're not making any moves right now that's going to help us long term. You know, Zeitler helps us out right now, doesn't really help us out long term. Reader helps us out right now, doesn't really help us out long term. So we both in agreement that we do need to get a defensive tackle in this class, a talented young defensive tackle. And maybe after we get that, depending on what we do at the cornerback position, also in the draft and in free agency, then we can see this defense, I believe, make a big major step heading into 2025. This was a defense who was, I think they finished 29th overall at the end of the 2022 season defensively, and they were able to get to 23rd, I believe, or 21st overall, 22nd overall this past season. Now you're talking about if you want to be one of the best, the elite defenses in the league, now you're talking about going from 23rd overall to perhaps 14th, 15th overall. Get that pass defense up from 20th in the league to maybe 14th, 15th overall. And you know, you can make that type of decision. You can make that type of change with maybe two different players. Any combination. Could be a
Can you hear
cornerback and
me?
an edge rusher. I can hear you now. I just decided
Yeah.
to go on ahead so you ain't have to edit too much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This
I don't
man
know
didn't
what happened.
change this whole. What do you mean the hell you changed the
Yeah.
color?
This was the original. This was the original.
This man's a commander out here. Spirit of Commander podcast. Oh man. But yeah, I see you done went back out though. But yeah, like I said, Braden Fisk got a lot of good film, man. A lot of good film. Um,
Mhm.
Considering the fact that, you know, if you look at how he was used at Florida State, I thought they did a good job of using him in the form they used him in. There's no misconception about what he is. That's why it's so
Mhm.
hard for me to really consider drafting Clemson defensive linemen because they dropped their defensive linemen so much. They asked them to do a bunch of shit that you shouldn't be asking to do a 280-pound to 320-pound defensive lineman. This is how it is. And
Yeah.
it's hard to judge those Clemson defensive linemen on how they're going to translate to the next level as pass rushers because you just don't see the production. So
Mhm.
that was a big issue with Miles Murphy from a year ago. The other dude, the defensive tackle, the New Orleans Saints drafted in the first round. Not well, it's a lot of them. Tyler Davis. It's a lot of those dudes who
Mhm.
they're super talented, but you went to Clemson for what?
I'm gonna try to. Is there any prospect, defensive line, defensive tackle wise, that is overvalued at the position? I think you and I talked about guys that were clear cut are going to help this team. Are there
Hmm.
guys we should stay away from? And you know, is there a guy that should stay away from the spirit of the commander? Is there a guy that should stay away from the spirit of Detroit? Is stay away from this podcast? Is there a guy that's a bum?
Stay away from the podcast.
Mm,
Um, right now, no. I mean, off the top of my head, I can't say really because nobody's really linking the defensive tackle to us right now, which is strange. You know,
that's
I
why.
think when the process first started, we were hearing Jerzon Newton's name a lot. Jerzon Newton's name has calmed down, quieted down a lot, mainly because I think he, Byron Murphy of Texas, are two guys that are expected to be top 20 picks. Braden Fisk is kind of the wild card. I find it strange that with that type of explosive combine performance that he had, quiet on him. Like they've been real quiet on Braden Fisk ever since the NFL combine. So as far as the D tackle position, I think there's a lot of solid ones out there. I think a guy like Tavondre Sweat, who we'll also get into him later on, he's a guy where would you like to have him in your defense alignment rotation? Sure. Am I terrified to take him in the first round? Yes. Am I terrified to take him with my second pick? Heading in my second overall pick, heading, into the second round, I'm terrified of that too. Mainly because, the track record on these abnormal size offensive linemen, offensive tackles, and defensive tackles, the track record really isn't good on them health wise. Even outside of the offensive tackle position, the last really, really huge defensive lineman, defensive tackle that really performed well for an extended period of time and didn't suffer through a whole bunch of injuries was probably Marcus Stroud. Either Marcus Stroud and John Henderson. And I don't think John Henderson was quite as big as Tavondre Sweat. But
Okay.
Marcus Stroud was a really big defensive tackle. And from the strength of God, he didn't suffer too many injuries and had a very productive NFL career with Jacksonville. And I believe after he left Jacksonville, he had an extended career with the Buffalo Bills. But yeah, these really tall, huge defensive tackles, 6'5", 370, and we're gonna get into one next year's class.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
big boy from Florida. And I think this is a joke, man. Like I'm not even. I watched some of his film from it might be the Tennessee game from last year. I can't take you serious at 400 pounds. Can't. I'm not gonna take you serious at 380. I'll take you serious as a football player, as a defensive tackle when you get down to 350,
Mm-hmm. You can
340.
stay on the field.
Yes.
And you
Until
can.
then, you're a gimmick, and it looks bad because as Florida, y'all let this boy go out there in that type of shape.
Mm-hmm.
It looks bad. So that's why I'm like, the real Jordan Davis. While Jordan Davis steadily improved at Georgia, and I got on Jordan Davis' case a lot the last 3 years at Georgia. I can still admit that his last year at Georgia, he really turned his body around. He was able to stay on the field more. But this was still a dude who would play one play, then you'll go 7 clips without seeing him, maybe 8 clips, then he'll pop back in for 1 or 2 plays. Then
Yeah.
you won't see him for 6 plays. Can't invest a high pick in a guy like that.
Yeah. And we definitely got to get into kickers. You know, we
We're
got
gonna
to get these.
evaluate the kickers, man.
I got to evaluate the kickers, man, because you got guys in the fake leagues. The Michigan Panthers guy is kicking
So
64
that's the
yards.
route they taking, huh?
Hey, look, we got McPherson. Look, I need a kicker. I know it's a gritty thing to go out there and go on it for fourth down and we're a gritty team and all that nonsense that sells tickets. But I need a kicker in situations where I'm going up against one of the best teams in the last 4 or 5 years. I need a kicker, and
Yeah.
I need a situation that's going to be beneficial to me. A big guy for me that is overvalued is Chop Robinson, and I
Mm-hmm.
can talk about the sack numbers, which is not astronomical, but like you alluded to it on Facebook about the nickname and the nonsense and all this stuff that sells tickets. And I care about the evaluation. And can you allude to Chop Robinson and his lack of production? Because am I overstated in saying that he's overrated, or is that
I don't
real?
think so. I don't think so. You
Because
know, I
Chop
bel
can't cut it in the NFL, in my opinion. Okay.
well, he also came from the school where everybody was wrong about Michael Parsons. While I was saying Parsons should have been the pick at that spot, perfectly happy with Sewell. I think a lot of some of it comes from people being wrong about a certain player and feeling like the next time around I just gotta ace this one. I think that's where a lot of the over love of Drake May comes from. Because a lot of those people who are really bigging up Drake May right now, a few years ago they were big anti Josh Allen and Justin Herbert fans. Well, anti Josh Allen and Justin Herbert people. So they feel like I was
They got to
wrong
get
about
just
both of those dudes, so I ain't gonna miss the boat on this
right.
Drake May dude.
I'm gonna say all the positives and superlatives I can to
Yeah.
facilitate some type of want
But
in this guy.
I think Chop, man, it just if we look at the best edge rushers in football right now, whether they're undersized guys, supersized edge rushers, these guys that are supposed to be quote unquote defensive weapons. What's my man name that went to Notre Dame that got all the super hype? Was it JKO or whatever? Cleveland drafted out of Notre Dame.
I don't think he went to Notre Dame. I think JKO went to Oklahoma, but
No, he did. No, the
he
dude
went
from
to he went to he went to Notre Dame.
yeah, and
Okay,
he was this positionless dude who was a heat seeking missile, and he
okay.
could do
Oh,
this.
I'm
He
thinking of Asamoah. I'm thinking of
no,
Asamoah.
not him.
Yeah, go
No,
ahead. Go ahead.
but yeah, it's the undersized athletic dude, and I
Yeah.
think that's what a lot of people fall in love with. But all we got to do is just look at the NFL. Elite traits in the size. TJ Watt. I told people when TJ Watt was coming out of Wisconsin,
Hmm.
this dude has a gift. This dude has elite traits. Who do we
Hmm.
go and draft? I
That
forgot who
year,
I
I
forgot who it
believe we
was, but
drafted
that dude ain't on the
30,
team.
28.
That dude ain't on the team that year that we
It's
took in the
not.
first
We
round.
took a linebacker too. I think
Jared
took a pass
Davis.
rusher. Yeah, we took Jared Davis that year. We took Jared Davis that year, but we took him at like one. We should have traded down and got more picks, huh? We took him at like 11 or something.
But yeah,
I my repository of the picks is for the wasted Detroit Lions years is very is used up. It's gone. My memory, I got the PTSD. So it's used
but
up.
no, it's just Chop is man. I don't even
Chop
think
is
Chop was the best prospect on his own defense within that front seven. Like they got two dudes next year that's gonna probably be well, not probably. They are way more skilled players than him, but I see a lot of Nolan Smith in him, and I don't even think he's as athletic naturally as Nolan Smith is, man. It's Chop Robinson sounds a lot better than John Robinson.
yeah,
It's
it
like
does.
it's I want chopping Kool Aid. I want chopping Kool. It's crazy, man. I don't get it. And being here in Big Ten country, we seen plenty of Penn State. We seen Penn State against Michigan. We seen Penn State against Michigan State. We seen Penn State against Ohio State.
So
It
we
wasn't
see
him making the
got the
plays.
exposure. Yeah, we have the exposure to these players, and we see their names and their highlights, and they 2 minute reels of them, saying their name and the music and the momentum. Like every time I turn on the Chop Robson clip, it's always, you know, I started from the bottom, now I'm here. So he don't have gloves on. It's everything not related to football. It's I had to grind like this to shine like that. Like,
He's a tough guy because he doesn't wear gloves. Yeah, I
he
heard
played.
this earlier today about him
Yeah,
going ahead of Jared Verse and Liatu Latu.
yeah,
Liatu Latu, 6'5", 265 pound edge rusher from UCLA, the most technically sound edge rusher. Chop
yes,
Robinson, a complete project, an undersized project, is supposed to go ahead of both of those dudes,
right. Because he don't wear gloves.
and he's Chop.
He sound like an Enrique to me. That's what he sound like. And when you turn on the tape, man, he doesn't impress you. He doesn't wow you. Like I could watch Braden Fisk all day, and I'm gonna get a wow at least 3 times a game.
Yeah,
A game,
I'm a
not
smile.
I'm a
This what I said about him. I smile. Like I
that's
don't have to smile every 7 plays with him. I'm gonna
right.
smile from Braden Smith every 2 plays.
This is how I felt about Kirby Joseph around the time where I was like, it was like mid January, early January, and I was watching his tape, and I was like, we need a field safety, we need a free safety that can play um, in almost a single free safety look, and I want him to be as fast to get to the deep third. I want him to as fast. I want him to be able to close on the ball, and I just fell in love with the film, the real film, not the highlights. You feel me? And I feel like there are some similarities with my feelings about how I felt when I discovered, Kirby in Fisk, and there's some similarities how I felt about like I have felt about who we just played, which was Newton. This is not hard. This is not difficult. This is very simple. We need pass rush, and we need our defensive line to be capable to go against the big boys in those big situations. We're a year ahead in our production. We got one of the best receivers in the league. He's at least a top 10 receiver. We got a top 10 quarterback, top 5 if you're looking statistically. We have all the makings on the offensive side of the football. We have a wide receiver that is yet to pop, but when he does, it's going to be a big play. And we know who that is. So on defense, we have
We have
Aiden
Marshall
Hutchinson
Falk Jr. at running back.
and Marshall Falk Jr. at running back. You have a video game offense, and this right here, this is a defensive draft. This is not science. This is fact. This is a draft that we can get anybody we want at the cornerback position, at the defensive line position, at the defensive end position, and we can have an elite player, especially when we trade up. Like Jared
Hmm.
Verse sliding to 15 and 16 to Indianapolis or all these other places. That's insane. That's disrespect. He's not the sexiest player. I've seen mock drafts where he is picked 15th, 16th. I'm like, whoa, Quinyon Mitchell. Quinyon Mitchell shouldn't be a top 10 pick, but
Listen,
the play is there.
I've seen Chop Robinson ahead of Dallas Turner.
Insane. Insane. And it's all in the name. It's all in the brand. He's got some excellent
Can you
brand.
imagine if Dallas was Chop Turner? That's a
Hey, look,
that's a hell of a name, boy.
I'm gonna tell you this. Look. I'm gonna tell you this. I've been making highlight videos of Chop Robinson, man. I've been making the highlight videos, man, because I've been with him, working with him and his team for a long time, and we've been creating the image of dominance, and he's kept me highly paid and highly successful, because we have to make that 3 sacks. We have to make that look like 16. So I'm kidding. People gonna
This
believe
whole
this. People gonna
this whole
believe that shit too.
we're gonna turn you into an elite edge rusher. Remember
Exactly. Email Kiper.
Tyree
Yeah.
Wilson from a year ago. We was
Mhm.
told, yeah, I know he only played four was it 4 to 8 games, and he had a foot injury, and he transferred from Texas A&M to
Elite
Texas Tech.
size.
But don't pay attention to none of that tangible shit. Just pay
Yeah.
attention to the fact that he has the height and the length, and yeah, he showed some flashes for the Raiders,
Yeah.
especially against the run. Like he can be an elite run defender for them,
Yeah.
but he's still a work in the making as
Yeah.
far as a pass rusher. Like these dudes either have it or they don't.
Yeah.
It's
They
hard to
don't.
create a pass rusher at the next level.
Yeah. I mean, I think fans think they could just make a James Houston who was
Oh, I'm
told
so sick.
this
I'm so
ability.
sick of his 5 games. They still talking about this like, oh man, don't worry, James coming back. Like
Hey, I'm one of them
we don't
James.
even know what James is anymore.
I love James, man. I don't want. I want him. I want him to have a rafter. I want his name to be in the Hall of Fame. That's my guy. No James Houston hatred will be tolerated.
Listen, I ain't gonna hate. It's just the fact that it seemed like that 5 game stretch he had was so long ago.
No, yeah, it was. It was.
And
The
I just
injury
want
did not
fans
help.
to understand that this happens in every football city across America, man. Every football every football fan base has that one guy that they
He's a
wonder about what if.
yeah.
Remember that one guy that had the 5 sacks in the 3 games, man, and how come he never evolved into anything else?
He's like
I just
Kerry
want
Hyder.
fans to understand it happens.
He's like Kerry Hyder or Corey Hyder. We
He
had
was another one, yeah.
yeah, and he had 6 sacks, 8 sacks or something, and then he went to San Francisco, got lost in the fray. He had some sacks over there, but he got lost in the shuffle.
Yeah.
But in closing, man, I definitely want to highlight your channel, man. I want to highlight what you and Ashanti have done in this very short span. It's a short span for me because you guys been doing this for like 2 years.
This is going to be our third season. Yep, heading into our third
Season. Okay,
season.
so
Yep.
we neck and neck. We neck and neck. But I was definitely exposed to you and him earlier this year, and you and him have been just amazing, solid guys. I mean, I'm saying this. You guys are world pride one wide. You guys are one pride worldwide. Okay, you guys are amazing, and I think that everything you guys are doing, like with giving us these prospects. Oh my bad.
Okay.
Okay, yeah, yeah, that was one of my guys. Anyway, I don't know what
Jared,
happened
one
to
of your
Jared.
guys too.
Jared, yeah, Jared. Unfortunately,
Look at him standing there like a biology teacher.
I'm gonna teach you science. I'm gonna teach you
The science of football.
science of football. He should be a science
But yeah,
teacher. He shouldn't be
I
playing.
appreciate it, man. I really do.
Yeah,
It's difficult out here, man. There's a lot of solid content creators out here, not just lying content creators, but there's a lot of solid content creators out here who just don't get the exposure, just don't have the money behind them that some other creators may have behind them.
or
But
networks that want to hype up who they want to hype up. They want to own who they want to
yeah,
own. They just we know what it is. And they know what
no,
it is.
man, you do a hell of a job, man. You may think I don't watch your videos. I watch them. I watch them, man, and it's been really solid meeting you. Hooking up with you and working with you because you really know your work. You really do, and I appreciate it. As I mentioned when we were discussing before the show started, the video started. It's good competition because you make me work now. It's not a
Nah,
situation where I'm just the only person that knows about a prospect out of 4 people on the screen, and I'm just doing all the talking to this and that.
mhm,
It's very very fun when you got
yeah,
somebody that's gonna push you. You said
yeah.
280 prospects in what 28 days?
28 days.
Yeah,
I
I like
believe we
being pushed
covered
like that because I
7
watch
of them
enough
today.
film.
Yeah, for a wrap up for me, man. You guys are great. Everything you're doing is great. Spirit of Detroit is going to be back in full effect and working. I just don't want to hear no Chop Robinson nonsense coming from this platform, and it won't come from this platform. Okay, I'm telling you. All right, the marketing is amazing. This dude, I've seen this dude take a picture with a steak, and I don't know why. Because
A pork chop. Didn't his mama nickname him pork chop? I think that's where it came from. Yeah, he said
yeah,
his mom's nicknamed him pork chop.
he gonna be the greatest draft story they're gonna ever make.
Long as we don't get caught up in it.
As long as
What
yeah,
if he's the pick?
if he's the pick, we got a problem. Me and
You
Brad got a
done
problem. Me
gave
and
up a
Brad got a problem.
2025 first.
Look,
So
look.
move up.
When I
You know
found
what?
Malcolm Rodriguez some time ago, I was like, okay, this dude just tackles. He does his job. Okay, he plays zone well. There were some things I was like, okay, he could be the pick in the 5th round. I'm pretty sure he could be the pick 5th, 6th round. And it was like, okay, when you see Chop in the first, you're like, whoa, hold on. Just like I felt with Jameson. But
Man, it's just what we do is very, very helpful to the average fan because you want to stop listening to these people on television. First of all, the
Mhm.
people in the media don't know shit. It's all speculation and rumors. Second of all, when I was in SMW, Sports Management Worldwide, when I was taking my GM and scouting course, Mark Dominic, former GM of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, was one of the speakers in the course, and he himself brought up exactly how idiotic and how dumb a lot of these people are, these millionaires are, who run these teams. And as fans, we sit back and we say, nothing against Brad Holmes. This is about GMs in general. In my GM, my trust, and I believe that this is right and that's right because my GM did it. There's only a handful of actual competent GMs in the league, I believe. And people may say, well, how do you know that? When you've been around football as long as I think people like us have, mentally, physically, the game, the structure of the game itself, you realize you can tell if a GM is competent with how he moves. Period. And some of these GMs are just complete idiots. And I think as fans, you need to realize that sometimes some of these GMs don't know more than you know.
Right,
A
right.
lot of these guys are getting drafted. There's politics in this too. Go back to the Daniel Jones draft. Daniel Jones had been groomed for that situation since he was 14 years old. You talking about the Maras and their relationship with people at the University of Duke and knowing Daniel Jones' father, and like there was a lot that went into Daniel Jones being that pick. And
Mhm.
fans just don't get it. They think it's just all about football and X's and O's and fairness and kindness. No, the NFL is no different from any other job out
Business.
here.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
business.
Yeah,
You
I
know,
know.
I'm
I
I'm
know.
gonna
Raw
yeah.
Detroit knows more about prospects than freaking anybody in the world. He studies them guys as soon as they get to high school, senior level, and they commit. And he'll look at the film on them guys' high school tape, and you know, Raw Detroit makes me work, and obviously I make you work, and it goes down the line, and we work probably harder than a lot of these GMs and in understanding what a player is going to provide and how they're going to fit. And it should be unlawful for a team to be able to draft somebody, stand by that pick, and say this is our guy, knowing he ain't shit.
Well,
knowing
what
he
bothers
ain't
me is
the
when
guy.
they don't admit they were wrong. Like when you hear GMs when people in the media bring, hey, remember 3 years ago when you picked such and such over such and such, and they double down on being wrong. Well,
Mhm.
at the time, such and such player B that we decided to pass on, he wasn't a cultural fit, or there was some questions about his senior season at LSU or whatever, this and that. When they double down on the reason they did what they did as the being the right reason,
Yes, sir.
that's what really gets me.
Yes, sir.
Like the
And
Eric Ebron draft.
Harry Brown. Easy
Of
problematic
all the
draft.
weapons,
There
of
you
all
got
the weapons on the board, you could
you
have
got
took
Odell
Sanders,
Beckham. You got Aaron Donald.
Mike Evans,
You talk about a tight end. You don't even throw to the tight end.
even Sammy Watkins. Sammy problem was Sammy couldn't stay healthy. Young Sammy Watkins was a problem. But you take the tight end.
And then you don't throw to him. Then you don't like how he
And
is as a
then
person.
as an organization, you allow Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia to give you the proverbial middle finger before they left out the door and took a corner with your damn pick. Third
That's
overall. Knew that Stafford was gonna be gone at the end of that season. You allowed that goof to use your precious third overall pick on the damn corner. The
that's
worst one of the group at that though.
yeah, that's wild. This film never stood out to me. Okuda,
Jeff,
the Barracuda was a Chop Robinson.
yeah.
But I'm a wrap up this stream, man. It's been a pleasure. We got to get
Oh
back,
yeah.
and we're gonna go through some more defensive line later, and then we're gonna get back to the cornerbacks. I definitely will be chopping this up and putting it out. You might see 10 videos. You might see four. You might see if one.
Oh yeah, I
'Cause
got you.
but you gonna get your just due, and you gonna get your credit. where can they find you at?
Oh, of course. If for all your Detroit Lions content, you can find us on Facebook as well as LinkedIn. Not back on YouTube as of yet, but if you have a LinkedIn account, you can find us on there. Find me for sure on there every Monday for that matter. Sometimes we come back later on in the week. And like I said, also on Facebook, you can find us Lions Avenue, that page, or you can find my direct page, same name, Walter Stringer.
And this has been Spirited Detroit. This is the first installment of many of our prospects now page, if page or content, or I don't know. It's our first installment, okay, of our first installment, whatever. Anyway, I'm not as well versed and eloquent as you. Yeah, I can give a damn
Ah,
about YouTube, but y'all know
me
where to
too.
find me on YouTube. Spirit Detroit podcast, not the red one, the blue one, and and this was a great show. Tremendous. Leave your comments at the bottom. Like I said before, this is a pre-recorded video. Yeah, I'm not seeing all your comments. Shout out to Gilbert Patello, Micro Mike. Shout out to Raw Detroit. Shout out to Mark Orm. Shout out to There Goes Mobby. Shout out to all the guys who do real work. Shout out to Easy. You make it hard for me to say shout out to you, but shout out to you. Shout out to some of the people at Woodward Sports, some of the people formerly a part of Woodward Sports. Y'all know y'all got NDAs. Y'all know y'all can't do nothing. So shout out to y'all. And with those allotments, we out of here.